What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Pepper and Salt Podcast. I'm Barrett. I got Gideon and Justin here with me.
What's up?
Um,
What's up?
it's been a minute, boys. We're back in it. Uh, Back from vacation, back from all the craziness, and back into some sports news. So we'll start out with the NBA today. Right now, trades are like absolutely out of control. Draft is happening or just happened. A couple notable ones. I'll kind of go through the list, and then you guys kind of tell me like who do you think the winners and losers were in these trades, and who do you think maybe took that next step to getting closer to a championship next year? I know we got Smart to Memphis. I think that was a big one. Porzingis to Boston was huge, pretty legit. Um, Paul to Washington and then to the Warriors. Um, Bill to Phoenix, and then Poole to Washington. Um, I know for me, I think Smart to Memphis is huge. I think that fills the gap that they had there. I think him and John Morant playing together is going to be awesome. Um, but I think for me, the biggest one is Bill to Phoenix because I think that legit gives Phoenix a big three, right? They may not have a draft pick till 2031, but they got their big three. Whether or not they're going to have the bench to last the season,
Yeah.
that'll be to be determined. But they definitely got a big three now. That's a three-headed monster as far as scoring. Um, Gideon, where are you at on these trades, and who do you think the winners and losers were?
Man, I really like Bill to the Suns. I mean, I feel like I feel like if anyone took that next step, it would be them. I mean, you added Bradley Bill, All Star, one I mean, amazing player. You know, you have him, KD, Devin Booker. Now, I mean, that's a good team coming out of the West. I don't know if really he's competing with that. I like Chris Paul to the Warriors. I'm guessing he's coming off the bench because I don't imagine Steph playing shooting guard, and I really don't imagine him playing shooting guard since they're both so ball dominant. So I guess he would come off the bench. And I really like Marcus Smart to Memphis. I feel like he's like just like a better version of Dylan Brooks. So, and a 3-point shooter as well. So, a lot of these trades are good. I'll say probably the one I'm like, I wonder what this is going to really turn out to be is that Jordan Poole to the Wizards. I want to see, they're going to build around him, or is he going to be like the guy? I feel like him and Bradley Beal to switch careers because
Dude,
he might be there for a long time and just not, we'll see. But
that's
yeah,
what I
so,
was like. I was talking to Justin about that earlier. I was like, "Pull to Washington, man. That's where careers go to die, bro. Like you're just going
yeah,
out there to lose
yeah,
games pretty much because they're losing on purpose at this point."
yeah.
Justin, where you at on these, man? And who do you think the big winners and losers are?
Man, I do. I think smart to the Grizzlies is a smart idea
Oh, there
and
you
a
go.
Oh,
smart
here we go.
trade.
Oh God.
All right. I mean, Gideon hit the nail on the head right there, man. He's a lot better version of Dylan Brooks, and they need somebody a little. I hate to say this, a little more or less attitude. I guess you could say attitude in the right direction versus the wrong direction. Because Dylan Brooks is all about that blah 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 and want to hit somebody. Smart has an attitude that is, hey, listen, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to school you, and that's it. Uh, Bill to the Suns is huge, very huge. I think he's a lot better than Chris Paul. Better
Definitely an
point
upgrade.
scorer than Chris Paul. Chris Paul, freaking at Warriors, I think he's just going to be a pass distributor. That's all he's going to be with the Warriors. He's going to get the Steph the ball. He's going to give Klay Thompson the ball, and who are the other guys? Wiggins, all right, Wiggins the ball, and they're going to do all the scoring, which is probably fine. That's Chris Paul's role, then that's his role, and he's going to do really well at it. Um, but was it Beal, right?
Bill to the Suns, yeah.
Yeah, Bill to the Suns. Yeah, that's gonna be a good one. That's like you said, it's gonna be a big three there with Booker, KD, and Beal there, and they're gonna be tough to beat. Very tough to beat. So
Yeah, I agree. I think for me that Paul to the Warriors is probably the most interesting one. I'm like I'm
Yeah,
interested to see that dynamic and like how you mesh that together, right?
mhm.
Because I mean, if you can find a way to get them on the court at the same time and Paul can stay healthy, man, that's dynamic. That's a lot. That's a lot for any NBA defense to deal with because if Paul's shooting and Steph's shooting, man, that's crazy. But then it's like, how do you balance that out? Like, how do you? It's kind of like trying to have two alphas on the same team, right?
Yeah.
Like, who's gonna ultimately decide they're gonna take that back seat and be a role player, and it ain't Steph.
Yeah.
So how does Chris Paul deal with that?
I would also say for me, Chris Paul and Steph Curry on there at the same time. That's terribly defensively. I mean, that's a small lineup because I can't imagine Steph playing shooting guard, and you don't want to put Chris Paul at shooting guard. He's too short. He's too small.
Yeah.
That's a good offensive team, but defensively, I don't know how that works.
Well, and I mean, in the NBA, the way it's built today, it ain't what's defense. At the end of the day, like, how good do you shoot threes, right? Like, we were talking about the whole playoffs. There was no post presence. People get behind, and then they just start launching threes, and then that's how you end up with games that are 40-point losses.
Yeah.
Because no one in the NBA, there's almost no value on a premier post player. Like, the only reason you have a post player is to get a block here and there and to steal a couple of possessions so that you can get ahead,
Yeah.
right? Because, I mean, look at Wabana Yama or whatever his name is for San Antonio. It just got drafted number 1 overall. I think that kid's going to be a beast, but like that's because he can also shoot, right? Like he can shoot. He's long. He's going to get like double-digit blocks a game, probably. He's just one of those dudes like once in a generational type of potential talent, right? But he can shoot too. Like that's the other crazy part. Like all the big men now are shooters too. Like you don't have. There's not Shaqs anymore. Like those dudes don't exist. They're not. They're like mythical creatures that used to be around that aren't any. They're dinosaurs of the NBA at this point.
You feel like Jokic, who are literally a center coming up with the ball. Like that's I mean,
right. He's dribbling the ball up from the inbound. Like bro, it's a whole different time, bro. Like you got to be able to have perimeter shooting, and I think Paul gives them an extra step in perimeter shooting, right? Like he can. You put him out there and just get you one post piece to sit in the middle to at least absorb some bodies. That's tough to defend, man. Like who you stepping out to guard, right? And who are you putting on them? Like they're a mismatch in and of themselves. Like yeah, they're small, but on offense, they're tough to guard. Like that's a big ask to be able to defend all that offense at one time, right? All those shooters on the floor at the same time. But yeah, definitely the trades are crazy, and I know there's tons of rumors out there. I've been hearing about Zion possibly getting traded. Haven't seen anything concrete yet. I've been hearing AD's name getting floated around, which I think that's absolutely crazy. So we'll see what kind of comes from all that stuff in the future. But some other NBA news. I mean, we were talking about it on one of our last shorts was Ja Morant. That suspension finally came down. It's 25 games. Justin, where are you at on 25 games? Do you think it's too much, not enough? How do you feel like they dealt with that situation?
Be honest with you, I think it should be just a little bit more. I know he missed the playoffs. He missed like quite a bit of the end of the season. He missed a lot of the playoff games, the first round. But man, I do believe it should be just a little bit more. It didn't seem like he got off easy. But also, again, he didn't really break any law or anything like that. It was just it's all about representation of the NBA and how what kids and young adults look up to the NBA. They want to make sure they don't set a bad example. So I get the 25 games. They don't want to do it too much because he didn't break any laws, but also I expect this a little bit more. That's all.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Gideon, where are you at on this, man? How do you think they handled it, and do you think it was too much, not enough?
I mean, man, if it was gonna be 25 games, I don't know why they waited so long. I mean, just say if it was gonna be 25. They were acting like it was gonna be like some 50 game suspension. They want to say in the finals. I feel like it's it's 25 games. I mean, there's 82 games in an NBA season. 25. I mean, half the superstars missed 25 just off of resting. So I don't feel like it's gonna be that big of a deal. I feel like it's light, but for what he's done, I mean, I could see it being more. I mean, the way he got right there. If I was John Morant, I'd be pretty happy with it. I feel like it could have been worse. But ultimately, I feel like it is what it is. I feel like ratings are gonna go down if he doesn't play. A lot of stuff that the NBA had to really think about it with him. And I mean, it's interesting. We'll see. We'll talk about this again.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, like, for me, I'll take the opposite side of this. I think the NBA did this to make it look like, okay, we're enforcing what we wanted to enforce, but also, how long do you want to lose that superstar, right?
Yeah.
That's your money. That's your livelihood as a league that you're taking off the shelf if you have this big, huge suspension, right? And I think this was enough to teach him a lesson. But at the same time, now if something else happens down the road, bro, I think he's getting the whole entire book thrown at him at that point. Like, I think if they start out at 25 and that's your stepping off point, man, don't let it happen again. Because at that point, they're going to make an example out of you, and it's going to be bad. So I don't know who in his camp needs to get his head on his shoulders and get him straightened out and make sure he knows what's up. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think it's about money. I mean, I think NBA could have went bigger, to prove a point, but also I think at the same time, why are they going to damage their own product? I mean, I'm telling you, I think he's that next level, right? Like he's that next in line to be like that ultra mega superstar. So yeah, I don't think they want to take that out of the rotation either. So, yeah, NBA man, it's fired up right now. So we'll definitely probably have some more news once the next pod rolls around. But it's crazy so far, man. These trades have been firing off daily. It seems like nonstop. So, but yeah, moving on, man. We got a little bit of NFL stuff to talk about. Right now, it's kind of that dead period for the NFL where everybody's just kind of waiting for training camp to start. But we've had some mini camp stuff going on, um, and we've had some notable. There's some notable free agents out there. One of them being Dalvin Cook. I think that this dude can absolutely change a team's outlook as far as whether or not they were to make it in the playoffs. He makes an offense go from mediocre to dynamic. I think he's that type of playmaker. Um, and I think he definitely was trying his best to get out of Minnesota as quick as possible. He did everything possible to get out of there and get cut loose. And he's now on Twitter talking about he wants to go wherever D-Hop goes. So that's another layer to this craziness. Where do y'all think Dalvin would fit in, and how valuable of a piece do you think he might be? Gideon, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I don't think Dalvin or D-Hop are gonna end up on the same team. Me personally, I just don't think anybody's gonna be able to afford to bring both those guys in, unless these guys want to play for nothing. I've been saying for a long time that Dalvin Cook is going to go to Miami. I just feel like it makes the most sense. I feel like he wants to play there. I feel like they want him there. Ever since the coach has gone there saying the most weirdest responses to the questions, that's where he's going to go there. D-Hop, I've been saying I would like him at the Titans, like him at the Patriots, places like those. But I mean, it's possible for those two guys to play together. If they want to take a pay cut, go somewhere, find somewhere to play. But ultimately, I don't think you don't have any people like Tom Brady that are going to take those type of deals and less money. I'm interested to see that they were able to pull that off. That would be genuinely crazy.
A bit dynamic. Justin, where you at on Dalvin and D-Hop? Pairing up, where would they land at?
Well, I think Gideon's right about Dalvin Cook.
Don't say the Cowboys though.
No. He's going to go to Miami. He's going to Miami. You got Tua down there. You got Waddle. You got Hill. Oh my gosh, what a 4-person headed horse there, man. That's that offense is going to be super crazy. I think he'd be a really good fit there. I think that he'll get a lot of yards there, and it's going to bust the passing game even more open for Waddle and Tua and Tyreek Hill. D-Hop, man, I heard it's down to 2 teams. I heard it's down to the Titans, and I heard it's down to the Patriots. So which one I think he's going to go to them? I want to say he's going to go to the Titans. That's what I honestly think. And I think because he's going to be number one. He's going to be number one wide receiver there. He is. They
What
got
I've been
nobody else.
trying to say.
And also, they got a fresh young kid, second year with Burks, that he can kind of mentor, and I think he'll enjoy the crap out of that too. So I think Titans would be a really good fit for him. The only question about the Titans for me would be Ryan Tannehill, but that's something else. So we'll skip that. But
Yeah, so I think that D-Hop Titans, man, it's the logical fit.
Yeah.
Right? You want to go somewhere you can be the guy. You want to go somewhere they're going to pay you. I think he can accomplish both of those things in Tennessee. I think Tennessee would do whatever they had to do to get him on the payroll at the number he wanted to be at. Pats, I don't know. I think literally, I think the Patriots and the Titans are almost mirror teams of each other because the Pats run the ball more than the Titans do, and that's incredible. I mean, what are the odds of that? So, I think he makes Tennessee's offense definitely a contender in the South. I'm not going to say a contender for the Super Bowl, but definitely a contender in the AFC South. I think they go from third maybe in that division to first potentially with D-Hop on the team. If he stays healthy and he's able to play a majority of the games of the season, I mean, dude, he opens up the entire offense. But Dalvin Cook, man, if he goes to Miami, my question is, how the heck do you have all those playmakers and still have any money in your pocket?
Literally.
Because literally these dudes are like, and they're like a Pro Bowl team, bro. Like, how are they amassing all this talent with any money left in their pocket? I don't get it. They must be masters at manipulating the salary cap because I don't understand how you get all them dudes together. Dalvin Cook, I think, is a good fit in multiple places, but yeah, I mean, definitely, I feel like Miami's probably the spot. But there's definitely some other places he could go. I mean, think about him in Buffalo.
Yeah.
That would be incredible. Like, throw him in Buffalo. That opens that offense up big time, too, and probably makes them pretty big favorites in the AFC East at that point. I think that would be an amazing move. But at the end of the day, I think it's money, right? Dalvin's conversation is very similar to D-Hop's conversation because Dalvin's a little later in his career, too, as far as running backs go. Are you trying to get that last payday, or are you trying to win a title?
Right.
Are you trying to go somewhere and be a role player, or are you trying to go somewhere and be the guy? And I think if he goes to Miami, he's definitely filling a role, but I think he's also a vital part of that offense. And the amount of speed on the offensive side of that ball is out of control if that dude shows up in Miami.
Yeah, I think honestly, with the new GM for the Titans, I think he's going to do whatever it takes to get D-Hop there, whatever it takes. And plus, you got a really great coach too, with Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, they were blowing up his phone when he was doing his visit in New England, so they're trying to get him.
Yeah, I think that's he's going to do whatever it takes to get him.
But I also think that we're probably having this conversation all the way to training camp because D-Hop ain't signed nothing.
Oh yeah, he's gonna wait.
He's gonna wait as long as humanly possible to not.
He may do a little ESPN special like LeBron James did.
100%. He ain't going until he absolutely has to.
I'm taking my talents to the volunteers.
Right. Staying on the theme of NFL, I know mini camps kind of just happen. So I'm a Titans fan, and the big news in the Titans camp is Malik Willis is apparently burning up camp at this point. To the point that there's been multiple sources that are basically saying he's showing huge improvement from last year. Showed up to camp. He's absolutely just chewing up this new offense, playing out of his mind. He's super accurate, getting the offense. So at this point, like, what do the Titans do? Like, you got 3 quarterbacks on the roster. Tannehill, this is his last year. I mean, at this point, Tannehill's playing for a job somewhere else, in my eyes. If he does well this year, I don't know. I mean, even if he does well, I don't think he saves his job with the Titans, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be somewhere else. It's too much draft capital that they've put into what they have now for them to keep Tannehill too.
Yeah.
So at this point, after this year, I think he's done. I personally think he's going to have a good year this year. I think their offensive line's better. I think if they get D-Hop on that offense, you've seen it from previous years. If he has an offensive line and he has receiver help, he's one of the best play action quarterbacks in the league. Statistically, it's just a fact. If you get him an offensive line and you have a running back that's a threat, and you have options for end receiver like AJ Brown, he's a good quarterback. Now, whether or not this offensive line's good, I think it's definitely better than it was. But for me, like, I don't know what the Titans do with what they have in their quarterback room right now. Because at this point, I think you either have to trade Malik, because if you don't trade him, you get nothing for him. So I think it behooves the Titans to, at this point, probably trade him, because they're not going to carry 3 quarterbacks. You have the emergency 3rd quarterback rule, but I think he would have to hit waivers and then come back. And I don't know if he hits waivers that he comes back.
Mhm.
I think a team's going to snag him. You've got plenty of teams out there that would take a shot on him. I would say Washington being one of them.
Yeah.
You know, there's teams out there that have a need at that position that I think they would absolutely give him a shot immediately. So I think for me, if you're the Titans, you find one of those teams, but I think you may have to wait till later in camp. Somebody gets injured, something else happens. I think that you maybe use him as a trade piece. But what do y'all think about the QB room in Tennessee? Justin, I'll go with you. How do you think that's going to work itself out?
Well, here we go. It's well known that I don't like Ryan Tannehill.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Last year, his contract, bye-bye. If they get D-Hop, I'm going to say this. If they get D-Hop, I think D-Hop's going to be more comfortable with Malik Willis than he is with Will Levis, because he's more familiar with catching passes and improvising with mobile QBs. I mean, you got Deshaun Watson when he was down there in the Texans, and he also had Kyle Murray when he was with Arizona. So I mean, he's gonna be more familiar with that. I think they're gonna hold on to, or going to try to hold on to all 3 of them if they can, till the end of this year, and then they're gonna have Malik and Levis for next year. Because, like I said, I mean, Brian Tannehill, he ain't coming back next year. I wouldn't want him at all. I don't want him as a backup. All right, I know it, but I just really don't like him. After he left the Dolphins, I hadn't liked him. But I think
Hot take.
Malik, you'll take him.
That's a hot take. Hot take.
Well. But Malik Willis, you know, I said it on here before. I don't think he's anything that special, but I mean, he might be now. I mean, I'm really glad that he's improving. I'm really glad that he's proven. I mean, it seemed like
definitely a good character guy for sure.
Yeah. It seemed like he's a good kid, and if he doesn't make it in Titans, I'm pretty sure that he's got other places that he can go to that he can make a big impact. Yeah. But I think once they traded up for Will Levis, I think that was his guy. That Will Levis ain't gonna go nowhere. It's got to be Malik. Either they're gonna try to keep all 3 for the entire season if they can, figure something out. If not, then they're probably going to trade Malik, which he's going to be success somewhere else, for sure. So,
Gideon, where are you at on Malik? What do you think is going to happen with that QB room?
Malik will play through the preseason and then he'll get traded. That's how I view it. The Titans will let him, you know, they'll let him take some reps during the preseason, show what you're going to get from Malik Willis. Hopefully it'll be improved, and then they'll try to get something for him. I just feel like they've already committed. They've already shown what they want to do. They drafted Will Levis. They have Ryan Tannehill on his last contract. Ryan Tannehill will maybe mentor, you know, the quarterback. Maybe he won't. Apparently, he doesn't like doing that. Right. And then we'll see what goes on. But you know, I've been high on Malik Willis. I feel bad that he got thrown out last year. You know, thrown out into the field when he probably wasn't ready. He was so, you know, underdeveloped. He wasn't there yet. Year 2 is where you really see what kind of quarterback you have. Year 2, year 3, you start seeing what kind of quarterback you're going to have. Because it's kind of the same thing with Josh Allen. Josh Allen, he was terrible his rookie year. He wasn't even really that good his second year. But now he's at the point where he's at. I feel like you have to give these quarterbacks time to develop. And some team might get Malik Willis for low, and it might have their franchise guy. Right. It might work out that way.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of the issue with NFL today is that time that they used to have to develop a quarterback, they don't have it because you also got a coach that's on a ticking time bomb of a job,
Mhm.
right? Like
Yeah.
he's only got so long to prove that he can win, and most teams are not going to give him past what 2 seasons. I mean, you get 2 losing seasons, you're pretty much out.
Yeah.
It's a win now or hit the road type of mentality. So it's tough to like draft these guys that are developmental projects because you just don't have the time to develop. I mean, unless you're sitting on a franchise quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, where you can just keep that QB behind him for multiple years before you have to pull the trigger
Yeah.
on putting him in there, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, definitely, I think it's going to be an interesting situation. I'm interested to see how it unfolds because I have a feeling that D Hop coming to Tennessee probably hinges on whether or not Tannehill were to stay as far as this season, because I originally thought Tannehill was going to be a trade,
Mm.
was going to be trade equity in my
Mhm.
eyes. But I also think that the Titans want to try to, they don't want to do a full rebuild, and I think they know that Tannehill's probably their best bet to win this year,
Mhm.
and I think they absolutely have a shot to win the South, regardless of what happens. I think they have a shot to win the South because I don't think the AFC South's that strong,
Right.
and I think the Titans know, like, hey, we got a shot to win this division. And if we can get an AFC championship or an AFC South championship this year and keep Ryan Tannehill and keep the fans happy and give our new QB a year to learn behind him, then that's what they're going to do. And I think D Hop probably wants to play with a experienced quarterback, not a rookie. I think if it's Will Levis sitting in that seat and there's no Ryan Tannehill, I don't think the Titans got a shot at getting D Hop. I think he's going to the Pats. To be honest, I think that he wants to go somewhere where he can show his talents, and I bet he doesn't feel like that's going to happen with a rookie quarterback. But we'll see. We'll see how that works out. But I'm interested to see like what happens with that because I think that there's a lot going on there now that I don't think they thought they were going to have that issue. Right? I think they probably thought Malik's going to come into camp. He's going to be the same Malik we had last year. We'll be able to cut him loose and cut our losses and move on. Right? But
I don't know.
I mean,
Mac Jones should be. I mean, he's a rookie QB anyway. So I mean, he plays like it.
hot take. Nah, well,
That's not a hot take.
no. So So moving past NFL, we're on getting just a little bit into college sports. So NIL has been like a super hot topic as far as name, image, likeness. Um, I know there's a ton of out outspoken coaches that are basically saying um, there should be more regulation with this because at this point it's becoming like a bidding war on getting players, and whoever has the biggest NIL deals is getting the best players. And so the coach's argument for it is it's not a fair playing field, right? Like if I coach at South Dakota State, I can't recruit these kids because I do not have the same backing that any of these other schools have. Um, and so it's becoming basically an arms race to who can get the most NIL deals to pay their players the most. Um, so I know Brian Kelly with LSU has kind of come out and said, hey, we need federal regulation to say, you know, limits on these NIL deals so that everybody's getting the same shot at recruits across the board um, to basically keep up the parity in college football. They're basically saying, hey, there's going to be this really good, ultra top tier, a very small amount of programs, and then there's going to be everybody else. And we're not going to have a shot to get into this top tier. Um, how, where are you guys at with NIL? And do y'all feel like there should be more regulation or where are y'all at with the NIL? I'll start with you, Justin. Where are you at with NIL?
I think NIL is a great thing for the players. It's really surprised that Brian Kelly say anything about it. He's the head coach for LSU. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, LSU has tons of money, so I mean, I was really surprised that he said anything about it. So they can probably afford anybody they want to in the nation. But I think that's a really good idea to get it regulated. Have some kind of like format or like you said, regulations, some kind of something, to make it fair across the board, across the country. Like you said, some North Dakota State ain't got the same amount of money as LSU do, or Tennessee or whoever, Oregon. So I think that's a really good idea to have some kind of regulation on it. But yeah, I think that's a really good idea. Yeah.
Okay. Gideon, where you at on NIL, man? How do you feel it affects recruiting and players?
First off, Brian Kelly's a goofball. You coach for LSU. You don't have that problem. They want to talk about stuff that is unfair. I feel like they gotta remember that most of these kids, not all of these kids, but most of these kids are coming from a place where they don't have the money. They don't have that much money. They're coming to a college. They're playing on this national stage their whole season, and they're not supposed to be making any money off of that. The coaches are getting paid. Everyone around them is getting paid. They're the only people that's not getting paid, but they're the reason people are watching. I feel like there has to be some type of the players have to have value in college, in my opinion, because we look at it this way: a guy gets hurt in college football and it's a career-ending injury, they're done, and they've made no money. They've made nothing of the talent that they have. I mean, I feel like there has to be a way for these people to be basically risking their body for entertainment. I mean, and they get hurt and their life's almost over basically. I mean, they can't do the thing they love. So I feel like getting these kids paid in college isn't that. I feel like it's the best thing that college football has done.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of sit in the middle on this, because if you think about it, I don't know that as far as for me, I don't know that NIL really has changed the landscape, right? The same teams that were on top prior to NIL are the same teams that are on top now.
Yeah.
Because before on NIL, it was just who's got the bigger market, who's got the better stadium, who's got the better facilities for the players. It's still the same situation. It's just now those players are getting paid for what they're doing. So I don't know that it's necessarily changed the landscape. I definitely think it's changed the transfer portal, right? That's the big deal now. Because now you can basically poach players with NIL deals away from schools where they were already at. So it definitely makes it tougher for the coaches to build those benches and progress those teams, because if you put a kid on the bench for a year and another program sees that kid, they can say, "Hey, I'm going to give you $5 million in NIL deals. Come play for me." Right? Whereas that coach may have said, "Hey, I just got this quarterback's got one more year. You'll be my starter next year." Where this other team's like, "I'll start you this year and get you what you're looking for." So I think there needs to be at least some type of regulation on the transfer portal piece of it and how you can communicate with these players, because that's what I want to understand. Like, what kind of regulation is there for how coaches communicate with players that are already on other teams? Because that's where the issue is for me, is poaching players, because that's the part where it's so fluid now. Like, you'll see a kid play on 4 different college teams at this point,
Yeah.
because they just want to go somewhere they can play and somewhere they can get the biggest NIL deal, which I get it. Because at this point with NIL, these kids are getting generational wealth just from college. Some of these kids are getting upwards of 10, 15, 20 million bucks in their college career without ever going to the NFL. Um, and so I'm like Gideon. I think these kids should definitely be getting paid, because a coach is getting paid. Everybody at the university is getting paid. The university is making their money. Why should the person that's providing that service to the university not be getting paid too? Right? And you're putting your body on the line. You could potentially end up with a career-ending injury or concussions or everything else down the line. You think that university is going to step in and take care of you when you've got some type of injury that's going to hamper you for the rest of your life? They will not. They're not going to do it. So I think at the end of the day, I think NIL is great. I think that the kids definitely need to be paid, but I feel like there does need to be some type of, it's like the Wild West at this point. There needs to be some type of regulation to control how these kids are able to be recruited and how these NIL super funds are ran. Because that's the other thing. Where's this money coming from? Like, I think there's just all these huge lumps of money and they're saying, "Hey, this person's sponsoring my business." But what are they actually doing? Like, I don't know there's any paperwork to trace any of this money. That's the other thing. Justin, you said you had a point there.
Yeah, like I was sitting here thinking, I was like, man, these kids already got scholarships already. That's money right there, paying for your education. So I mean, that's a, I guess you say NIL deal by itself right there. Hey, listen, you play for my football team, I'm gonna give you scholarship. I'm gonna give you free education to do whatever you want to and graduate with whatever degree you want to. That's just giving them money right there too for free education. So that's like an inside school kind of NIL deal type thing. But I mean, I think also that, man, all depends what tier the college is on the I guess they say the financial scale of it. I think there should be some kind of like, hey, this is a flat fee right here that you're going to get right here, and do it that way versus like, hey, the star QB gets, you know, $5 million, but this, you know, the third string, or not third string, but like the wide receiver two gets like 200,000. Yeah, I think it should be even playing field there. I don't think it should be like when this one person gets more than another person because they're still kids. That's what I think.
Yeah, and I think across the board, it's the fact that it's just based upon each individual player.
Yeah.
Um, that's the other tough part. Yeah, I mean you're right, but I think it maybe at some point you need to figure out like, okay, how is there a way to cap this? Is there a way to make the playing field more fair for everybody across the board?
Because I bet the offensive lineman really ain't gonna get that much money off an NIL deal. They're probably
It
like the one
depends. I
most
feel like there was one in like
most important, part of the offense.
there was one
They're
in North
defending the
Dakota
QB.
State
They're
that was
blocking for the
making a
running
ton
back.
of money. Like he was making a ton of money.
Who was?
Some offensive lineman in North Dakota State or something got this huge
North Dakota
NIL deal with
State.
some
The dude was missing teeth.
mattress company or something. But no, seriously, like it just totally depends on the player and how they can market that business's
Yeah.
product,
Well,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
Jalen Hyatt got a bunch of
yeah,
money from Hyatt Hotels because
yeah.
his last name was
Yeah.
Hyatt.
Because
Yeah.
last name.
Seriously, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like people sometimes get a shit. They act like the college are paying. It's not like they're like colleges are sending them contracts. It's these
It's
companies like
businesses.
Gatorade and all these
Yeah.
places that, I mean, they're just promoting. These having these kids promote their stuff. I mean, and sometimes college athletes have more power on social media than some of the people in the pros. I mean, Bronny
That's
James
true.
is going to be one of the
Yeah.
biggest stars next year in college basketball.
Yep,
I mean, he's definitely going to outsell some people in the NBA for sure,
100%.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, and I don't think that's a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think if it is helping the business promote their product and they're going to
Yeah.
give that money to somebody for promotion anyways, why not give it to a kid who's on a huge stage and is able to promote your product?
Yeah.
Sure.
But I think the major issue is these big super funds, right? Like that's where a lot of these NIL deals are coming from. Is they're coming from these boosters inside the university that own businesses and are just saying, "Hey, here's a ton of money for quote unquote promotions," but they're not really doing any, right? They're just money to pay the kids, which
Right.
is great. I'm glad they're making money, but that's what I mean. Like that's where you kind of get into really sketchy waters. Like who's watching these funds? Where's this money coming from? Is this being tracked? Do people know where this money's coming from and who it's going to? Like it just gets real muddy. And I
Yeah.
think that there definitely needs to be something put into place to clear up the rules and to make sure everybody's being fairly compensated and everybody across the board has the same fair opportunity to be able to recruit athletes.
So you
Because
think it
at the
should
end
be
of the
like
day,
like
it's
a
going to make a
committee or
better
something like that?
do what?
You think it should be like a committee or something like that to oversee the whole regulations? And also, if it's a committee, should be, football coaches or something like
Yeah.
that,
Be
or
the sanctuary.
maybe the outside of
That's
the
what I
college
mean. I
football.
I think it
Like,
needs to be somebody from outside the sport,
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
somebody
that has no
unaffiliated,
connections. Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody that has nothing to gain or nothing to
yeah,
lose from this, right?
yeah.
Somebody who can objectively look at it and say, "Hey, this is a better way to do this. This is a framework so that this is able to be seen clearly and everybody knows what's happening across the board. And if
Mhm.
these things happen, you're going to be in trouble, right? Like this is this
Yeah.
this is okay and this is not okay." And I think that that's half the issue is just determining like, okay, where are the boundaries for this? Because I think when this started, it was just like, yep, these kids can make money. And once that happened, it was just like mad dash, right? Like absolute insanity. And so it's
You
great
know
for
who
the
I think
kids,
should meet it up?
but for the sport, I think it's going to just make it to where it's just, you're going to keep seeing the same teams over and over and over,
Yeah.
which you kind of did before, but it just makes it a lot less parity in the sport.
Yeah.
So, but I'm sure there'll be more to come on NIL. We shall see. Um, so
Brandon
we're going to
Walker.
kind of transition over to another topic that we got to talking about as a group is Josh Allen on the Madden cover. Where are we at with this? Because first of all, Josh Allen wasn't even that good last year. I mean, I felt like it was just kind of like a mediocre year for the Bills in general. They were like, okay. Um, so it just caught me weird that Josh Allen's on the cover of Madden. So, Gideon, I'm gonna start with you. How do you feel about Josh Allen being on the cover, and who else do you think could have been put on there?
Man, I will say I had Josh Allen on my fantasy team, so I have a little bit of connection to him. He did all right for me. Marshawn should have been on there, in my opinion. 24, you had it set up perfectly. I was a little surprised it wasn't. I'm a little surprised it wasn't Joe Burrow. I really thought it was going to be Joe Shiesty, put him on the cover. But I mean, I guess you can throw Josh Allen on there. It's a mediocre pick, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I feel like Joe Burrow probably would have been my vote too. I was kind of surprised that Joe Burrow didn't get on there. Gideon, where are you at with this Madden cover, bro? And who do you think should have went on there?
Yo, you talking to me,
Yeah,
Justin?
Justin. Sorry.
Yeah. I think Josh Allen's a really bad idea to put on the cover. Honestly, I don't think he really had that great of a season. And Jalen Hurts should have been on the cover. Jalen Hurts had a tremendous season, went all the way to the Super Bowl, lost in the last like three to 5 minutes of it. So I think Jalen Hurts should have been on cover of it, and Josh Allen should not have been on there. Shouldn't be considered to be on there.
Okay, hot take. Jalen Hurts, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a lot of options. I mean, Jalen Hurts makes a lot of sense. Joe Burrow, I think was for me was I thought a definite shoe in, right? Like for it, the way that his career has progressed up to this point, like, come on, man, throw a Bengal on there. When's the last time a Bengal's been on the cover of Madden? It's gotta be a while. Ocho Cinco, maybe. It's gotta be like a hot minute, bro. But yeah, that was surprising Madden cover. I'm not gonna lie. So now we're gonna kind of transition into the fight world. Um, so a little while ago, we were talking about this Conor McGregor Chandler fight. Um, apparently, this fight is off now. So Gideon, kind of give us a rundown on what happened with this fight and why it is no longer happening.
Well, I mean, usually when you have two guys on tough, at the end of it, they're going to fight each other, and it makes it one of the biggest fights of the year because you have all this promotion up to. You have these guys just going back and forth at it every week, and towards the end of this month, people are like, Conor McGregor hasn't been tested by USADA yet. He hasn't been tested to see what kind of substance has he been taking, what's in his body, has he been taking steroids. All these things. I mean, a lot of stuff about Conor McGregor, indicates that he has been. And we pass over the date. He's still not in the pool. He can't fight until 2024. And that totally eliminates that fight from happening this year. Maybe it could happen next year, but I mean, the hype is gone by 2024. We wanted to see it right after the show has ended. I feel like it's extremely disappointed. I was excited for the fight. I know a lot of fans were excited for the fight, and mostly people want to see Conor McGregor fight. It's not like he's some washed up guy. People still want to go and see him fight. He's one of the biggest fighters right now. So it's extremely disappointing because I know a lot of people wanted to see him versus Chandler.
Yeah, I think that it kind of makes me wonder if this isn't like some playing with Conor on Conor's side. I mean, I don't know that he ever wanted to fight Chandler. I think he wanted a bigger fight, right? Like I think that he wanted something that was way more marquee, a bigger name, because I think Conor puts a lot of value in his name, right? So he wants a marquee fight. He wants to fight somebody bigger name than Chandler, right? But I think it's crazy. I think it's amazing that Dana White would let that happen, right? Like, how are you okay with just letting that happen and basically flushing your Ultimate Fighter fight down the drain, right? Like, because you basically marketed this whole entire show against that fight. Now the fight's not going to happen. Just for something like that. So obviously there's something to that, right? Like I'm with getting like obviously he must have had something in there that he did not want to get banned for. So he's like, I'm just going to take the hit. We'll take it. We'll test next year and get a fight going next year. So, but that's crazy that you basically throw out your entire rest of the year for fights, and it's only June, so you can't fight. That's crazy to me. That's insane. Justin, where you at on this, and how do you what do you feel like's going on here?
I don't know. I think I'm gonna start off with this right here. Why is there a reason why we should fight? Why should we have a reason to watch the rest of Ultimate Fighter?
Yeah.
If the last fight that we're going to see between Daniel and Conor McGregor ain't going to happen. I mean, there's no reason to. But I think that's awfully sketchy of him to skip that. And now he's going to pay for it for the rest of this year. Maybe he's trying to get back in shape. Maybe he's trying to get the whatever he's taking out of the system, whatever it is. But man, he got all this, like I said, all his marketing, put all this money into the Ultimate Fighter and building this fight up, and then it's not going to happen because you skip out on this right here, this drug test or whatever it is. That's pretty crappy. That's D-bag move, and I don't like that. But also, Conor McGregor is going to do what Conor McGregor wants, and that's all it is to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed that in the Ultimate Fighter. I mean, like if you're watching it, he kind of comes off as like, whatever. Like he's just there because he has to be.
Yeah, he's not
He's
invested
like
in it.
he's Marshawn in it, man. He's like, I'm here so I don't get fined at this point. Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like he feels like he has zero investment in it, whereas in the Chandler camp, it seems way more like there's way more investment in those guys and their success. So, but I mean, I think you knew that going in, right? Like you knew when you saw McGregor's name on there, you knew that that's selling views, right? But you kind of know what you're getting. Like like you said, Conor's in it for Conor, and everybody else can go to the wayside. He does not care. At the end of the day, it's him getting what he wants. So I don't know. I mean, is it a power play? Is it a hiding something? I don't know. But at the end of the day, I'm super surprised that Dana was so quiet about it.
Yeah.
That there was really like nothing said about it,
Yeah.
and basically kind of acting like it never happened. So maybe there was something to it. Maybe Dana knew, like if Conor hits this, like he's suspended, and I don't want that, right? Like I want him on a ticket. So let's just wait till 2024 to get him on a ticket. Either way, it's crazy. I was surprised by that. But moving on to some more fight stuff. We're gonna get into boxing, sort of. I guess you could call this boxing. It was barely boxing. This Gotti Mayweather fight, man. What? This was absolute madness. So this was like an exhibition fight, I guess. At the end of it, like everything goes absolutely bonkers. Gotti's coming after Mayweather at the end of the fight. He's trying to fight him well after the fight's over, throwing punches, coming across the ring, like crawling over people. This is absolute madness. So, Gideon, I'm going to come to you because you're a boxing guy. So, like, is this the type of stuff that is devaluing boxing altogether? Like, is this turning boxing into a sideshow? Where do you stand on stuff like this?
I feel like for Mayweather, especially, because I feel like it's kind of been like this with his career, Mayweather needs the right dancing partner. And, he needs someone to sell with. He had it with Logan Paul, but then he's been having these other ones where it's kind of like, who are these guys? You're fighting these bums. You're doing it for money, obviously. It's the only reason you're doing it. And they're bad fights. Then, you get done beating this guy up who's not experienced with you, and then he starts trying to swing on you after the fight. I mean, it's ridiculous. It brings coverage to boxing, but it's not the exposure that you really want. It's like what are these two old guys doing after the fight's been stopped? And it sucks because Floyd Mayweather is a legend, and he's doing these like little side quest fights that are just not really have that much attention to him. And then like we get this one that has a little bit of attention to it because the guys are trying to fight after the bell. So they're weird. I wish Floyd would stop doing them, but he loves money, so I'm sure he won't. And it does suck to see some of these fights.
Yeah. Justin, where are you at on this fight, man? I know you thought this was crazy.
Dude, it is crazy because first off, the ref stopped the fight before the fight was finished. All right, he called it like in the second round just because they weren't listening to what he said. And he called it. That's what upset everybody. Play bonkers. The both sides of the camps were freaking furious about this, and of course, they're still Mayweather and freaking Gotti is still trying to fight each other. After the ref's like, no, I'm calling it right now. And then here comes the camps, the training coaches and everything. They're started scrapping too. And I was like, what the world is going on here?
Right,
it's ridiculous.
Mayweather's got 39 people in his entourage.
Yeah.
Like,
18 bodyguards.
At the same time, yeah. Looked like the ring was about to collapse from the weight of the bodyguards.
Hey, listen, Gotti is someone you don't want to mess with. He has those mob connections.
Oh,
his grandfather, I think it is, or great grandfather. You don't want to mess with him, okay? That's all I'll say about that. But you said it's just devaluing boxing. I don't know. Maybe the Mayweather Gotti, second fight is maybe a little bit bigger. No, since that happened.
God.
May invite a few more people into the
fight.
ring.
I'm pretty sure Gotti's like banned from boxing.
Yeah, he's done.
Well, that'd be a really interesting thing trying to build to a second fight there, and that'd be a good little money thing for old Mayweather. He likes the money.
I mean, for me, like I never even knew this was happening.
Yeah,
I didn't either.
Like I didn't even knew this was a thing. Like what is going on? And then all of a sudden, like Twitter explodes and it's just like all these videos of like 39 people in the ring fighting each other. I'm like, what is going on? I hate this for boxing, bro. Like I mean, this is like, if this is where you're at to try to get views and to try to get people to watch, bro, you're in a bad spot. Yeah. Like there needs to be some youth injected into boxing, and there needs to be something to bring it back. Because at this point, it's just like a sideshow. Like it's like, I mean, it's a way to try to grab cash, and I think this is the type of stuff that definitely devalues boxing. I mean, like, is it even like it's starting to? I think it's starting to make people question if it's even a sport. Also, there's like 900 belts for everything. Like, boxing's just a whole. Like they need to just reset it, right? Like, you need to have one belt for every weight class. There don't need to be 900 different federations. Like, consolidate everything. Somebody figure out a way to turn it into basically what the UFC is at this point. And then I think you can bring boxing back. But at this point, there's too much. It's too cloudy, it's too muddy, and you're just selling a sideshow at this point.
I mean, boxing used to be like the sport to watch, especially back in the Mike Tyson and the Vander Holyfield days, even going back to like Muhammad Ali. I mean, it was a big time. That's what everybody tuned in to watch. And now I only know it's when it's happening. And that's really sad.
I think the majority of your people that would trend towards boxing are going to.
Yeah,
that's true too. Yeah.
And so a lot of those really good athletes that you might have had that were going to be boxers are now going into MMA, right? Because there's more exposure, there's more money, there's just more value in MMA than in boxing. So why not? You're going to take whatever route's going to get your family the most money, right? And whatever's going to be able to get you paid for the longer term. And I definitely don't think it's boxing at this point. There's just not enough exposure. There's not enough buzz. There's not enough knowledge about the up and coming boxers for anybody to really know anything about it.
And no boxer out there making a splash.
Yeah, and like I said, who even knew this fight was happening? I had no clue. There's no nothing commercially that's happening with boxing to tell anybody that anything's even happening with it. So yeah, it was crazy, man. I mean, if you're looking to get clicks, they accomplished that. Congratulations. You won Twitter for a day.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next thing, I guess. So here we go, boys. This is one I saw this. I'm like, listen, this has to go in the fight section. I'm not sure it's a fight. So everybody in the comments, we got to know who you got. So Zuckerberg versus Musk is like a whole situation. Mark Zuckerberg versus Elon Musk. Zuckerberg's challenging Musk to a cage match. That's how it was put out there. Who we got? Zuckerberg? Is Zuck taking down Musk? Who's winning this fight? Justin, where are we at? Zuckerberg, Musk. Who you got, bud?
Oh my gosh.
Fight of the century.
The CEO of Facebook.
Fight of the century. They could beat each other with bags of money.
I will watch this. All right.
Yeah.
I will pay money to watch this.
How much is it? Yes, boys.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be really expensive.
Who cares?
But we can all chip in. I'll drive the Merce, bro, and we'll watch this. Okay?
Come on, boys.
Because this will be the fight of the century.
Fight of the century, yeah.
Fight of the century. Because who picture this? Celebrity death match coming to reality.
That's exactly what this reminded me of.
Put them in the cage, let them fight it out, put some weird stuff in there, let them beat the heck out of each other. And you know what? For us, the ordinary people's entertainment. And then we can be the ones go, we can be Julius Caesar for a day, okay? That's what I think about that. Let it happen. Who I think will win this? The American people.
Yeah.
The American people will win.
Gideon, who you got? Zuckerberg, Musk. Who's winning?
Mark Zuckerberg kills Elon Musk. Like, that would be for real. Like he does it for real. Elon Musk, I don't even know. I thought Mark Zuckerberg, it was like he was for real about it. He would want to do it, but apparently Elon Musk wants to do it too. I don't see Elon Musk being able to do anything to him really in a cage fight. Maybe, I mean, I'm one of those guys. I think Elon Musk is an alien. So I mean, maybe he gets all his friends from outer space to come help him. I don't know what he does, but I mean, I think Justin was right. The American people win if we get a fight.
Hey,
that's
here
why
we
he
go,
did
boys.
SpaceX. They go back to trying to find his way back home.
So instead of cage match, I think we should have like a yacht battle.
There you go.
Put them on their yachts, and we'll launch objects at each other, and whoever sinks the other one's yacht first is the
level of cannons like the pirates do.
Yeah, come on, just ramming speed, just come after each other. No, man, Zuckerberg would absolutely destroy Elon Musk. Are you kidding me? Musk is getting choked out in the first 36 seconds, bro. It's over. Like, come on. Elon Musk is built like I am. Like, it's over. Like, you're done. Like, it's not happening. And also, I mean, if Elon Musk is an alien, Zuckerberg's a robot. So, alien versus robots. Who do you got? I'm going robot every time. Dude, I mean, when I heard this was one of the greatest things on the internet. Yeah. And then they got to going at each other. And I'm like, dude, the American people are already winning. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, we're in a beautiful time in the future when two billionaires can go after each other on Twitter. Like, let's go. This is what I'm talking about, boys. We're here. We made it. Yeah, man, I'm going Zuckerberg all the way. And he's destroyed Musk.
I think it's really funny. They're beefing on Twitter, and that's Elon Musk, and Zuckerberg is Facebook. So that makes it really just really interesting. Like, wow, you really beef on Twitter?
Yeah, Goodwill Musk is not on Facebook.
At least you do your crap talking on Facebook or something. I know.
Yeah, I love it.
Get more people on that, but no. But
I love it. The wonderful time we're in, boys.
Oh yeah, it's so awesome.
So, all right, guys, that's it for this episode of the podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, share. And we will drop all our socials down in the description. So hit us up on socials, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.